Good morning guys from Rio. It is Wednesday morning and today we are going on a favela tour.
I will always feel something. I will always feel.
My breakfast. Gracias. Wow. I'm happy. Now I've got my breakfast right here, which I want to eat on the bus. We've got a little bus to the favelas. I'm not even sure how many people are going, so it's all a little bit of a question mark. Yeah, we arrived.
No one to bring you camera?
I will be doing a voice over this video since I wasn't allowed to obviously speak to my camera whilst we were walking through the streets of the favela. So I'm going to try and pass on as much information as I can about what I've learned. So let's start from the fact that Rocinha is the largest favela in Brazil and it's located in Rio de Janeiro's south zone. What's really crazy is that it's a home to nearly 300,000 people. Despite this large population though, it takes only a square mile. It actually takes less than a square mile of land. It's crazy. 30% of all the population of Brazil live in the favelas. 30. It's a lot. Compared to some other shanty towns in Brazil, Rocinha actually has a relatively good infrastructure. It has some houses built out of concrete and bricks. There are even in the more developed parts some businesses like banks. I saw dentists, drugstores. So for it actually being a slum, I would say it's quite developed in a way of infrastructure. Now we are going to get a local guide who lives in the favelas, who lives here. You don't want to be watching the salon, that's for sure. Keeping my camera on the low now. Also, a little interesting fact from where the word favela actually comes from. In Portuguese it means slum, and the word favela comes from a tree under which in the 19th century the government soldiers used to live. Now a little bit about history. How did the favela even start? So 500 years ago, the Europeans came to Brazil and killed practically all of the regional tribes, and they brought with them the Africans as slaves. So Brazil had slavery for over 450 years, and in fact it's the last country in the world to release the slaves. It was only 100 years ago. So after they released the slaves 100 years ago, they didn't really give them a chance. They didn't give them an opportunity of work, education, healthcare, nothing. So when they were released, they were actually very, very poor, and they started to build their own houses, which was the beginning of the favela. Most people on the favela are blackish. You'll probably see it on the video. Of course, there are some mixed ones too, but mostly they are blackish because they are the remainings of the slaves. And it's until today that the government of Brazil doesn't want to help. It prefers to leave these people as cheap slavery. It prefers to leave them as they are. They are cheap working class. I would call it a modern slavery, to be honest. So that's the story of the favela. And it only began like 80-90 years ago when the slaves began to build their refugee places. And until today, the government blames the people from the favelas for their problems. The government actually says the people here don't want to work, they just sell drugs, but it's not true. And they are all working. There is no homeless people, there is children. They want to work. They've just never been given the opportunity for the right education. Just a little off topic now. This is the part of the video where I was recording secretly The GoPro was next to my thigh. I wasn't even allowed to do this, but this is the first time I actually saw the guy with the gun. I'm going to slow this video down so you can guys see it. He's actually holding two guns and both of his fingers are on the triggers. After that, I had to put it down because I got really scared, and I only took it out in the more safer areas where there was no people with guns. Now, the fact that there's a lot of drug dealers and drugs business happening here, that's true, that's a fact. And who sells those drugs and who are actually those people with the guns? Those people are mafia. And it's a mafia like any other mafia. It's an organized group of people that sell drugs. But in the favela, they also act as the police, as the court, and as the government. Since the police is not involved in any way, shape, or form in the life of the favela, they have their own organ that acts as the police. So the people who are working with the guns are actually the mafia, and they are there not to kill us or rob us. They are there to protect the favela, their own community. Now, how does it work with justice here? Let's say a person who lives in the favela commits a crime. Let's say he steals from a shop. The first time he steals from a shop or commits a crime, whichever sort of crime it's going to be, they cut off his hand. The second time he commits a crime, they cut off his whole arm. And then the third time we were not even told what happens then. But yes, it's quite harsh. Now, why is the police not entering the favela? Why is there a completely different organs? It's not because they are scared, but it's because they have an agreement. The police has an agreement with the mafia. And how it came to that? It's because the cartels, which control the mafia, have an agreement with the government. So that means that the police is corrupt, and so is the government. The people in the favela don't produce the drugs. They don't bring the drugs from Colombia, from Paraguay. So really, the problem begins in the higher levels.
Wow. Oh, well, no.
Everybody dance down.
Oh my god, we're party now. So here is the local hairdresser. Really nice, just next to the street. They are happy. This was insane. The streets. We are safe on the bus. Little heart attack for me. This was the guy.